Even today, textiles are produced which are vivid examples of the Islamic tradition of calligraphic artistry. This early 13th century ewer was made in Persia. Rich colors were used not only for clothing, but in pottery, glassware, and in the decoration of houses and mosques. This striking use of color counterbalanced the barren desert landscape that made up so much of the Islamic Empire. As the Arabs lost their appetite for war and conquest, the role of defenders of the empire passed to the Seljuk Turks. These fierce warriors from Central Asia won control of Baghdad in 1055 and quickly dominated the whole of the eastern half of the Islamic world, with the exception of the Arabian Peninsula and India. In 1071, the Seljuk armies routed the Byzantines at the Battle of Manzikert. They went on to occupy most of Anatolia and Asia Minor, which they made a Seljuk dependency. The supremacy of the Seljuks throughout the lands of the eastern Mediterranean made pilgrimage to the great shrines of Christendom impossible. Several attempts by crusaders from Western Europe in the 11th and 12th centuries to regain control of the holy places led to the creation of a number of small crusader states in Palestine and Syria. But in 1187, these were virtually wiped out by the Islamic armies of the Ayyubids under Saladin. The Islamic faith continued to spread across the world over the next 3 centuries. In the east, traders and missionaries carried it to Indonesia and the Malay Peninsula, and then on to Sumatra, Malaya, Ceylon, and the Laccadive and Maldive Islands. In Africa, Muslim traders traveled the great caravan routes across the Sahara to the Kingdom of Mali as early as 1350, and later to the Hausa states in what is now Nigeria. Architecture and its decoration remain among the most impressive products of Islamic culture. The great mosques and mausoleums which were built all over the Muslim world, such as the Mosque of Gur Emir in Samarkand and the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, remain as magnificent testaments to Islamic skills. Islam had begun as a jihad, or holy war, to carry the word of the Prophet to all the inhabitants of the earth. Its earliest achievements were remarkable, but by its extraordinary impact upon the conquered peoples, it entered on the inheritance of the ancient world and became its heir. The transmission of Greek learning came from Alexandria and other centers of classical culture, but it says much for the Abbasid caliphs that they fostered this process. It is one of the marks they have left on history. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is his prophet, says the Quran.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
From its cradle in Arabia, Islam grew into one of the world's great civilizations. Bridging the centuries, it was an important lifeline between the classical world and the European Renaissance. Christian scholars went to Muslim Spain to copy scientific treatises and transcribe the works of Aristotle and his Muslim interpreters. The renaissance of Western thought and the rise of the European universities in the 12th and 13th centuries owe much to the intellectual legacy of the mighty empire founded 14 centuries ago by the last of God's prophets, Muhammad.